We have improved the Mappoint integration, where you may now draw lines around areas you want to walk and print the walk list based on the voters within those lines. Let's take a look. I'm going to pick a pre-selected walk list format that I have saved, walk list support, and I'm carrying the columns for for, opposed, and undecided. I will select a particular precinct, and it may be that I've got a precinct of a few thousand voters, and in my case I'm going to choose Golden Valley P02. It'll come back and tell me I've got 2,425 voters in that. Now I could do further clarifications, like maybe I only want those of a particular party and so on, but for the moment I'm going to say I'm going to walk the entire precinct of 2,425 registered voters. My next step is I would like to be able to make sure that I'm not crossing over barriers such as parks or rivers or highways. And I can do that using Mappoint. If I've got Mappoint installed on my machine, I'm going to click over here and say create a map. And at this point it'll start plotting those points out on Mappoint after I give it a name. So I'm going to say GV02 and I'll make them yellow points, and I'll say go ahead and run that. It'll start plotting those points. When Mappoint has completed the plotting of those points, you'll be presented with a map that looks something like this. I chose yellow push pins. I can zoom in by using the mouse wheel to scroll in, and I can now pick particular areas that I'd like a particular person to walk. So for instance, I'm going to scroll down the page a little bit, and one of the things I'm going to notice is I've got this Briarwood Park that's sort of in the middle of this neighborhood. Well, I'm not going to want to make a person come all the way around back over here and pick up those points to walk in. What I am going to do is draw some lines that will allow one person to walk one area. So I'll skip the park in this case, and maybe I'll even come down around here. And I've got those points are now plotted. I can send this information back to Trailblazer by saying include selected by shapes, and notice it says plural. We can actually pick up multiple shapes. I'll show you that in a moment. In our case, 428 voters were picked up in that included area. I'll return back to my list, and I'll know that by the inclusion of the check marks here and an indication here that says 428 voters out of the 2,425 were found. At this point I'll choose Reports, Walk List Selectable Format, and I may say Golden Valley 02, and maybe there's a person that I want to assign this list to, so maybe I'm going to give this to Tim to print to walk. Choose OK. My walking list has been generated. I'll zoom in a little bit, and in my case I'll just change this to a portrait instead of landscape because I've actually got room for additional columns out here that I don't really need, so I'll go portrait. And there is that particular area that I just picked up, Bassett Creek, Culver Road, and so on. These were the roads that were just inside that circle. Let's go back and do multiple inclusions. So I'll return to Mappoint. I will uncheck this area, and let's say I'm going to zoom it up just a little bit. I will choose this area, but in choosing that area I sort of missed this little street over here, but that's no problem. I'll just pick that up as well inside that box. And again, I'll say include select by shape. 355 voters were included. Close. Go back to my list. There I am with 355 once again. The check marks, appropriate check marks for those streets are checked. I will click my reports again and choose walk list selectable format. And maybe this one is going to go to Amy. There again is the next set of streets. Donview, Donna Lane, and so on included in that box.